But now we go into south of the border, where Uncle Dave is speaking about a triple A match that featured Psychosis, Heavy Metal, El Picado, and some guy called, I'm just trying to read this, Rye Mysterio Jr.
No idea.
Some guy called,
That
yeah,
left
I
me
mean,
stumped as well. I even checked cage match, couldn't find anything. That left me
yeah,
stumped.
it's a weird name.
Mm.
Yeah, weird name. I don't think it's ever going to catch on. But it was the best lucha match he had ever seen, and he gave it a full 5-star rating, which is quite interesting because I think this is the early 90s. The only people who are getting like 5-star matches are the people coming out of All Japan. So this
Yes,
is indeed
yeah.
very, very interesting that someone south of the border is getting that lauded 5-star ranking from Mr. Ravy Davy himself.
You know what this
Can we
tells
get on
me?
to the injury?
You know
Yep.
how
What
people
does that
always
say?
say Dave's opinion of wrestling has changed? Because
Mm.
for whatever reason, they always say his opinion of wrestling has changed. He wouldn't have given this match 5 stars 20 years ago. Now, I haven't seen this match, but judging by the participants, I can kind of gather what type of match it's going to be. Okay?
Mm.
That is a similar match that Dave would have given 5 stars to today, I'm sure. So I don't think his
I guess
opinion
so.
has
Yeah.
changed as much as people think it has. I think he's always been into this sort of style of wrestling, but it's just more highlighted now than ever.
Look, I think at the end of the day, whatever Meltzer does at this point, Mr. Meltzer, sorry, let me not be
It's
disrespectful.
Uncle Dave.
He's damned if he, he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't. In the sense of that, there are going to be people, and I mean that is the problem, is that wrestling has become a lot like politics now, where it's very rare that people will be in the middle and agree with both sides.
Yeah,
It's now gotten to the point where like it's become so adversarial. You either love the flippy stuff or you love the sort of more grounded Jim Cornette stuff, and no one is ever going to agree on either side. And I mean, I think Dave Meltzer, as controversial as he might be, he is still the standard barometer where most of us still care about, like, for the most part, what his star ratings conclude. But at the same time, he is just one man. He's just one. It's the same as like Roger
one
Ebert on
man
film.
with one
Roger
opinion.
Ebert, yeah, exactly. One man with one opinion. And it's the same as when Roger Ebert used to review films. Yes, Roger Ebert, incredibly knowledgeable guy, knew everything about films that was, worth knowing. But at the end of the day, he was one guy with his own prejudice and his own sort of mindset of what he thought a good film was. Dave Meltz is exactly the same.
Did you see that report that Dave Meltzer apparently
But
owns
anyway, I'm not.
3% of
Yeah,
AEW? Did you see that?
I did. Yeah, yeah. It
Do
was
you believe
reported on
it?
Jim Cornette's show. Um, it's wrestling. I mean, for God's sake, like it's one of those things where wrestling you kind of take everything with a pinch of nonsense, just because
Yes,
it's a work,
exactly.
it's a shoot. Who the hell knows? But I think it's also the idea of, if it is true, would anyone really be surprised at this point, in the sense of that if you are somebody who builds a life off of this kind of entertainment, if you were offered the opportunity to buy a stake in that entertainment,
No, you take
it
it,
makes
of
sense.
course.
I mean,
But it
I mean,
does
for,
bring his
I mean, for me,
journalistic
yeah,
ethics into play though, because like the things he reports on, you've got to question it all now. If he has
mm,
equity in that company,
yeah, I agree. But then
so
what I would say is that, first of all, number one, it's speculation.
it hundred
But number
yeah
two, but number two, it always, I find it so adorable when people go, I can't believe that company that was reported on favorably by this newspaper owns shares in this newspaper.
yeah
To
yes
which I
yes that
say,
happens yeah
that's that's how media has worked since the last 200 years.
exactly
That newspapers are basically created by a coalition of companies to put out an opinion, to report on those politicians and those businesses that represent it.
hundred
And that's
percent.
all it is.
Media is controlled
And I
by
think that,
different entities, and those entities put out whatever they want to put out to benefit them at the end of the day. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
okay.
Well, welcome to the conspiracy corner, y'all. Well, it's not a conspiracy. It's just kind of
It's kind of
just how the
facts.
world
Yeah,
works.
we know this.